confirmed plans to increase the American troop presence in Syria by deploying an additional 250 personnel, bringing the total to 300. The move is in contrast to the US president's repeated promise not to put American boots on the ground in the war-torn country. However, his administration fails to see the contradiction.
And there was never this, there was never this no boots on the ground. I don't know where this keeps coming from.
I will not put American boots on the ground in Syria. We should not be drawn once more into a long and costly ground war. It will not involve American combat troops fighting on foreign soil.
The resolution we've submitted today does not call for the deployment of U.S. ground combat forces to Iraq or Syria.
Putting boots on the ground, I think, would be a profound mistake.
Well, for more, let's bring in now Gaine Chichikan, our Washington correspondent. Gaine, you were there at the media conference. I suppose, how could the president's spokesperson deny something that's so evident, that's so clear here?
Well, Yunan, this got really confusing. While trying to answer questions about how the president sending more troops to Syria is consistent with his saying that he would not send ground troops to Syria, the State Department spokesman John Kirby seemed to have confused everyone and invited even more questions. Take a listen.
I'm just curious if this is like part of some kind of devious grand strategy to say one thing and then do the complete opposite of it.
I don't see it that way.
For months and months and months, the mantra from the president and everyone else in the administration has been no boots on the ground. And
No,
now...
that is not true.
What?
It's just not true, man.
It is.
It's just not true.
It's true.
No, it's not.
All options are on the table except boots on the ground. That was the...
I never said that.
When pressed, John Kirby said there is a difference between special operations troops and ground troops. He also tried to redefine ground troops, saying when the president ruled out ground troops, which he did, he meant a large-scale ground operation. But he refused to put a number to what he would consider a large-scale operation.
The president send any number of special forces without calling them ground troops.
They are not ground troops in the sense that they are not conventional ground troops conducting combat operations on their own.
The special forces being sent to Syria are going to be engaged in combat.
Their job would be in keeping with the original 50, which was advise and assist.
But in Iraq, too, you said they were not going to be in combat, and then a serviceman died in a hostage rescue operation.
Once again,
he clearly was in combat. How can you say that they're not in combat?
Once again, you're oversimplifying what we're saying. I mean, there's no point in arguing the boots on the ground rhetoric. It's absolutely no point in it. I'm not disputing the fact that we have troops on the ground and they're wearing boots.
Well, not so simple when the administration seems to be coming up with new words, with new definitions for troops, perhaps in order to stay consistent with what they said before, whereas many see that as the administration trying to avoid admitting that there has been a shift in policy.
Our Washington correspondent Gaine Chichikan bringing us right up to date with that. Of course, the story that President Obama plans to send 250 more U.S. troops to Syria. Well, for more on what we've been hearing from the State Department, let's cross over to former Pentagon official and security analyst Michael Maloof. Michael, welcome to the program. I think you've had sound. You could hear our last couple of sound bites with the State Department. They said that deploying troops is not the same as putting boots on the ground. What's the difference?
There is no difference. Boots on the ground, and Kirby is a former military guy, so he's going to try and make a distinction between actual combat troops of 20, 30,000 as opposed to special forces. You talk to the special forces guys, they are taking fire. They are boots on the ground. They are in a combat mode. Even Colonel Steve Warren from the Pentagon, who briefs the Pentagon once a week, has said as much. So they are in combat situation. They are boots on the ground. What you have here is mission creep, and you have an administration that doesn't want to admit that that they would have to go to Congress ultimately to get permission to deal with ISIS, and they have refused to do that until now.
Well, just to continue on that point, the State Department says the troops will have an advise and assist mission. Do you think they're going to stick to their remit?
They're going to be carrying guns, they're going to be firing, they're going to be shot at. We've had people already who have been killed in Iraq, especially, who were advising and assisting, and they got involved in the fray, and they've been killed, and we had to bring back a body. So they do engage in combat. They are armed, and the mission potentially is to train. But the question is, who are you going to train? What forces are you going to train? You're going to train these opposition groups? I mean, that is one of the big questions that's lingering here. Rather than trying to come up with a definition of boots on the ground, and there are boots on the ground, period. Who are they going to assist? The Kurds? If you assist the Kurds too much, you get Turkey all upset. If you assist al-Sham and all these other groups who are supportive of ISIS and al-Nusra, then we're basically back in the position of helping al-Qaeda once again. And Turkey also supports those groups. So this is really undefined. I think the administration needs to come very clean on just precisely what they mean by boots on the ground and who they're going to assist. I have seen nothing to indicate which troops they're going to be assisting.
Well, it's that muddling of the waters, the confusion over terms. Does that mean, in your opinion, that Washington could increase its military presence further over time?
Yeah, it's inevitable. It will be increased, and this is the part of the slippery slope. This is mission creep, and this administration tries to split these hairs, and they don't want to call a duck a duck at this point. It's crazy, but they're trying not to show that they are having to ultimately go to Congress to invoke the War Powers Act, and they're going to have to put boots on the ground. But the question is, who will we be assisting? I get back to that fundamental question. They are boots on the ground. They are troops. They are in a combat mode. They will be shot at, and we've had instances of this already. Special Forces guys already in Iraq have been killed because of while they're in the assisting role. So they are in a combat mode. So why Kirby wants to make these distinctions is beyond me.
These 250 more U.S. troops, bringing it to 300 U.S. troops, what implications might that deployment have for the current security situation?
I think it won't do all that much. I question who they're going to be assisting and to what extent. You got to keep in mind, when you have 300 Special Forces guys in there, maybe at least half of them are support personnel, intelligence and logistical support. The actual fighters and the gunslingers are going to be much fewer than that, and they're going to probably do some training, but advising, guiding in ordnance for the aircraft when they're trying to hit ISIS positions, if in fact that they are working with opposition groups that are after ISIS as opposed to Syrian forces.
Always great to get your expert take. That's former Pentagon official and security analyst Michael Maloof. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.